Every year I do an annual bike trip with some buddies. We go away for a few days on the bikes somewhere around the UK, and this year's ride is probably going to be the toughest yet. So I've been doing these trips for years now, predating the YouTube channel. Some of them are on my channel. The West Highland Way one was very popular, very tough, and an amazing trip, that one. Also been to Peak Districts. We did the Yorkshire Dales one year. Wales we've been to a few times, but this year is going to be a bit different. So what is the North Coast 500, or the NC500 as it's also known as? Well, it's a 500-mile road ride around the north coast of Scotland. It starts in Inverness, you head east, no, start again. You start in Inverness and you head west to the east coast of Scotland. Then you cycle up the east coast, cycle along the north coast, get very close to John O'Groats. You don't actually go to John O'Groats, and then you cycle back down to Inverness. Now it's 500 miles, so that's a very long trip. We are doing it over 7 days. 7 days, no rest days, riding every day, which I'm sure is going to create its own issues. And normally I would be organising one of these trips, or certainly be heavily involved in the organisation, but not this time. I've been invited along, so I don't have to do any of the planning at all, which is very pleasant. So the trip's been organised around my mate's birthday, and he has organised a trip, and I've just been asked if I want to come along too. It's very nice to be asked along to someone else's trip. All you got to do is turn up, but that's the easy bit. The trip itself looks brutal. Well, just how tough is this trip? I've got a breakdown of the days here. I'm not going to run through every one, but looking at it, there is not one day below 100k. Most days are around about 120. There's a few particularly brutal days. Day 2, 128 kilometers of riding, 2,000 meters of climbing. Day 4, 120 kilometers of riding, 2,000 meters of climbing again. Even day 7, the last day, 118 kilometers of riding, 1450 meters of climbing. So there is a lot of riding to be done and a hell of a lot of climbing. And as you know, I am not a roadie. I'm principally a mountain biker, but I've got into gravel biking more recently. So that is definitely one of the concerns for me for this trip. Am I taking on too much? So I would appreciate any help in the comments. Anyone who's done a ride like this, give me some advice about training for a road ride. How long do I need to cycle? How far do I need to be able to easily cycle? How much climbing should I do? You know, when should I taper off? How often should I be riding? I'm just really not sure. Road riding's a bit alien to me, and I think I've got a lot to learn. I do have a mate who's basically a roadie, but I've got him into mountain biking and we go riding together. And when we hit the climbs, I drop him every time. But as soon as we hit the flats or like road sections, I can't live with him. I've got a really weak sort of engine to be able to output power at a really high rate for long periods, and this is what I need to be able to do a road ride. Now, with this monster road trip in mind, even though it's several months off, the ride I'm doing today is essentially a road ride. It's got a little bit of off-road, but not very much. So I had a massive carb load breakfast this morning. As you probably know, I don't actually own a road bike. So for this road trip, I'm gonna have to do it on my gravel bike, Oro Terra C, but I've got these gravel tyres on it at the moment, and I'm gonna need to change them out for some road tyres. So any tips on what would be an ideal tyre for me would be very much appreciated. So what the challenge is going to be on this ride Well, I'll say number one is going to be the physical challenge. Riding over 100k every day for 7 days is physically going to be very, very tough. And each day passes, it's probably going to get harder and harder. Now, I don't think I've ever cycled 100k before in a day. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've never cycled 80k in a day before. And I need to train myself up to be able to do those sort of distances. And tied in with the physical challenge will be the mental challenge. Any cyclist out there will know just how important your mental state is in terms of performance, and especially when you're doing some sort of endurance event or challenge which is very physically tough. Once your mind starts to go, you're in a whole heap of trouble. Another potential big challenge is the weather. I've been scouring YouTube for NC500 videos, found a few good ones. A Irish woman did it with some of her friends. They camped. They got really bad weather one night, or over a couple of nights, a lot of wind. Another guy, Lawrence Carpenter, is it? He's quite a big YouTuber. He done it. Now he's like a sort of semi-pro rider, so he smashed it, but they got caught in a blizzard at the end of May. And we're doing it beginning of September, so I don't know how confident I can be about the weather then.
Rising sun hits the sky, see it open before us. Take these hopes, hold them high, every step takes you closer.
Now there's a pretty big group of guys going on this trip. When I said yes, there was about 12. We're now up to 16. I'm only going to know 3 other people. A couple of you're going to recognise if you've seen my videos before. Kev's coming, who I ride with all the time. Gary, who's done a lot of my summer trips as well. And Craig, who's invited me, but I don't think he's featured in my videos before.
Rising sun hits the sky.
Take these hopes.
Did get a good bit of advice from watching the videos on YouTube. I should be able to ride 100k comfortably. That's what one person said. I am nowhere near riding 100k comfortably on the road at the moment. So this ride is nearly done. It's going to be about 60k, so that gives me a sort of baseline of where I am with my road riding. And over the coming months, I am going to have to turn into a bit of a roadie, so I don't have to start panicking yet. But changes will be afoot. I need to work out how much training I need to do, how many rides I should be doing, how far I should be doing, when to transfer my gravel bike over with road tyres and set it up for the road. But I won't be neglecting off-road. I couldn't do that. Doing road all the time and absolutely do my head in. Stay tuned for updates on the North Coast 500, how I'm doing towards that. And thank you for watching today, and I'll see you on the next video.